Hello students, welcome to Vetrii Neet Gateway. Today we're going to talk about breathing and exchange of gases. In this we go through the respiratory system of the human body, and which starts from the nose and goes on to the lungs. The nose ventilates the air. So ventilation is when the outside environment air enters through the nose and goes through the lungs. So that is called pulmonary ventilation. We call that breathing in general terms. In that we have air entering into the lungs, and then we have inspiration and expiration. Inspiration is the intake of fresh air and expiration is the removal of foul air. Fresh air contains oxygen and foul air contains carbon dioxide. And then we have the external respiration. In this we have pulmonary gas exchange that occurs in the lungs, and that is from the alveoli, which is a part of the lungs, and it enters into the blood. So you can see over here the oxygen moves from alveoli to the alveoli to the blood, and then the CO2 moves from blood to alveoli. So we know where blood is, it is running throughout our body. Alveoli is present in the pulmonary system, that is in the lungs. After that we have the transport of gases that actually occurs in the blood as the carrier. Okay? Oxygen transported from lungs to the tissues, and CO2 transported from the tissues to the lungs. And finally we have the internal respiration, that is gas exchange from tissue gas exchange occurs in the tissues, blood to the tissues. So O2 moves from the blood to the cells and CO2 moves from the cells to the blood. All these together they form the extracellular respiration. Extracellular respiration means it happens outside the cell. So what do we have in the extracellular respiration? Pulmonary ventilation, breathing, external respiration, alveoli to blood, transport of gases via blood, and internal respiration, blood to the tissues. Okay, let's speak about intracellular respiration. In intracellular respiration, what happens is, it happens inside the cell. We saw what happens outside the cell, that is called as extracellular respiration. In intracellular respiration, that is also called as cellular respiration. We have O2 utilization inside the cell, mainly in the mitochondria. We all know that the cell contains mitochondria. So this particular respiration occurs in the mitochondria. Okay, so what happens in that? It's a mechanism of breakdown of food materials. Whatever we eat inside the nutrition is broken down. It is within the cell to release energy, basically to produce something called ATP. And there is the trapping of this energy for ATP synthesis. And we have, this is a biochemical process and it involves enzymes. Enzymes is something that quickens the process of a chemical reaction. So what happens? Inside the mitochondria, glucose and oxygen combine together to produce ATP, CO2 and H2O. H2O is water. Okay. So over here, the intracellular respiration is something that happens inside the cell, as we know. You can see over here, this is the mitochondria. And where does it happen? How does it happen? These four processes take place in the production of ATP. So that is glucose breakdown that happens in the, you can see the cytoplasm of the mitochondria, and Krebs cycle that happens in the mitochondrial matrix, and the electron transport chain ETC that happens in the inner mitochondrial membrane called the cristae, which is the foldings that you can see over here, and then the ATP synthesis occurs. That also happens in the cristae. Thank you.